Models, the ultimate hobby. This is the building of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to create a beautiful centerpiece, to seek out new builders and young model makers, to boldly go where no model has gone before.
Hello everyone, welcome to a special feature here on my channel. Make sure if you're new you smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a second of my great content. Now normally speaking, here on my channel I do a lot of stuff on the gaming culture. I do product reviews, game reviews, news. Basically if it's gaming related you're likely going to find it here. However, I'm a complete nerd package. I mean, look at me. I'm totally nerded out right now, and part of that includes inevitably the world that is Star Trek. For anyone who doesn't know what Star Trek is, well, first of all, where have you been living, under a rock? Star Trek is a cultural phenomenon. It's been around for almost 60 years and it's done so well. It addresses social issues, it creates a future in which all peoples, no matter where you're from, are considered as equals, and it's a long-running show that continues even still to this day. Now, many people, such as me, were introduced to this universe through the second series ever made, Star Trek The Next Generation. This was a great improvement over the original series. It lasted a full 7 seasons and introduced some of the most iconic characters that everyone knows about to this day. Just mention the name Jean-Luc Picard to random people and I guarantee you the image of Sir Patrick Stewart is going to immediately pop into someone's head. But perhaps the biggest star of the show in terms of not only its importance but its size as well is the Enterprise D. It's this show's iconic ship, and it combined the same sort of look and feel of the original, but pushed it into the future. You could easily see this being the next logical step of evolution over a course of 100 years, from the Enterprise A to this. And since this show lasted 7 seasons and also featured 1 movie with this iconic ship, when you mention the Enterprise, this is likely the ship most people will think of. So now Eaglemoss or Hero Collector, whatever it's called where you're from, a company renowned for their detailed collector's models of these ships, decided to create sort of an ultimate model of this iconic ship. It's one of these monthly subscription things where every month you'll get a set number of kits to put together, and then at the end of it, you're going to wind up with a 2-foot long working lit up replica of this great ship. Now, let me address the elephant in the room real quick. This model is not cheap. When it's all said and done, this is going to cost you over $1,800 to get this all put together. It's also time consuming. Now, this is not the model where you're going to see huge progress made every month. You may spend a couple of months working on a relatively small section of the ship. It's a lot of tedious work for sometimes what may seem like little reward, and it's going to take you a long time to do. If you start this, just know it's going to take you over 2 years. I calculated out to about 30 months before you get this ship done. So yes, this is tedious, it's expensive, and there are going to be some challenging and frustrating parts to this, I'm not going to lie. But at the end of it, you're going to wind up with a highly detailed model of this iconic ship. And with Eaglemoss or Hero Collector at the helm of it, you can be guaranteed the quality is going to be there. But enough about all the complaints. You didn't come here to see me review the model. You're here for one purpose, to watch it get put together. And that's what we're about to do right now. So without further ado, in the immortal words of Captain Picard, engage. Okay, so we're going to be starting this build today. It's the first couple of issues of the Enterprise D. I will notate, unless they change it up by the time you watch this video, you're not going to have this. I decided to make this after I had already started getting the kits. You get this as a bonus later on, but I decided to just start all over so that I can show you how to do this. So we're going to start right at the beginning. Okay, so the first pieces we have to do is to put this whole section of stage 1 is focusing on the bridge of the Enterprise D. The first step is really simple. You got these two pieces you're going to put together. It's held together by 2 AP screws. What I like to do for each step is I like to get all the parts I'm going to need for that step, just so that I have it all ready to go. I would highly recommend a magnetized screwdriver. The one they give you does, an okay job, but, if you have your own that you prefer to use, I'm going to use my own personal one. I have an entire set of screws I can use, screwdriver heads I can use with this one, which is magnetized, and you can see it goes right to it. You want that extra grip because you don't want to lose anything. So, first step, we put this together, and you can see it's all pre-cut out and shows you exactly where it goes in. So that just kind of slots in there, and then we're going to put the two screws into I'll show you right there. We're going to put 2 screws into these 2 holes here and hold it in place. Alright, so now that's done. The top of the bridge is on the ship, not going anywhere. One thing, they don't tell you this in the first issue, but I'm going to tell you right now. They label their screws with a P or an M on each thing. That tells you what you're going to be joining it to. P means the screw is going to be going into plastic. M will mean it's going into metal, because yes, this is a metal model. It is a metal and plastic model. Very high quality, very well done. So the next step, we're going to be getting into some electrical work. So for that, we need this LED labeled C. Now you can see, like I said, I've already done this model, so mine's already folded up. Yours will kind of be straight and connected. You can always pry them apart as much as you need to. Straighten them how you want, how you need. You can see in the instructions they show that you're going to put this section. I'll try to show you here. It's very tough to see, but there's these little grooves here. Let me point them out to you. There's a groove right there and right there. And on the electrics, you're going to kind of put the electric here. Hang on. I'm going to try to back it up. So you're going to put that section, that space, into that groove. And you're going to basically, so this first step, they want you to put this in the groove here. And I basically like to try to pull it towards the light. Some people like to use glue for these. They don't tell you you have to, but it can help. Because some of these lights, I will tell you, can be finicky. But once you got that on, once that part's on, you're going to take your cover, your reflective cover piece here, and you can see there's a groove right there where the light goes. So you're just going to slot that in there, and that will hold that light in place. And like I say, you're going to want to, they show you how to like kind of slot it so that you can get the other one on. So the next step on the other side, we're going to do the same sort of thing. You're going to put the light in like that. There's another one of these things. Again, reflector panel, groove for the light. You just want to make sure that you keep both cords out of this section. Now this is why they say sometimes you want glue, because this can be tricky to do by yourself. It's doable. I've done it, but it is not easy. Kind of keep these together. Sometimes I have an easier time if I put the bulb in the groove first. Alright, it's in, and the wires are all where they need to be. So that's that. Now the next step, we're gonna secure that down onto a housing unit. So we're gonna need our housing unit and 2 more AP screws, because again it's plastic to plastic, so we got all the stuff we need. Now all you're gonna do is you're basically gonna feed the cord through this middle section here. And just so you know, this is the cord labeled C. They're all labeled, so C is the one you're using with this. So you're gonna put it in there. It'll fit flush. And then we screw it in. 2 holes here and here. Secure this in place. I like to go back and give them a little extra tightening when they're done. Make sure if you're doing the plastic to plastic though, you don't want to over tighten, because you don't want to break any of these pieces. Even though Eaglemoss is pretty good about getting you replacements, try not to break it when you can. So now that that's in there, those lights ain't going anywhere. You're good there. Now the next step, we're going to be putting this off to the side for a bit. Okay, so our next step, you can see we're going to work on the main bridge. It's iconic. It's what you can definitely recognize on the Enterprise. And because it's so iconic and so important, they made it metal. So that's a very solid piece. So we're going to be working on the underside of it. We're going to start on this part. We're going to be starting over here with some electric, with some lighting, and some panels. So you're going to need to take this clear panel. It's labeled with an L. It's pretty easy. It just sort of slots right in there. Boom. We're also going to need a CM screw for this part. Okay. Now, you're going to want, do your lighting. Now this part's tricky, I'm not going to lie. There is another groove right there. If you can see it. Your light's just going to kind of go into that groove. This might be a case where you want to use some glue. Into the groove and kind of around this screw port. And then as best you can while holding it down, you're going to want to put the cover on. You might want to start by putting the cover on a little bit and then putting the light bulb in. You'll feel it when it's all in there good, and then we're going to secure it with the CM screw. Now, since it's going into metal and holding a light bulb in, you want it as tight as you can get. So don't be afraid to use whatever tools you have on hand. Get it as tight as you can. So now that side's done. I noticed in my book there is a little bit of a issue with the picture. It's got this side labeled with the R, because you can see on these pieces, I don't know if I'll try to show you as best I can. You can see on these pieces, like they're labeled with an R, and that one's got an L. It's supposed to tell you what side of the ship they go on, but for some reason they got this labeled with an R and this labeled with an L in the instructions. But the best part about this model is it's cut in such a way, and every piece is made in such a way that if you try to put a piece where it doesn't go, it's not going to fit. So if your piece doesn't fit, you got it in the wrong place. Now on this side there's no electrics. We're just doing the same sort of thing to block that off. So that slides into place there. Get another CM screw here. You got this piece here. Just sort of slots in as a little extra cover. And we'll put our screw in. Alright, so that piece is in now. Next, we're going to be doing they're going to flip it over here, and we're going to be doing the front grill part. For this first step, this step's really easy. We need this thing. Now, obviously, you can tell what that's going to be. This is all lights and windows. Certain sections are blacked out. This part they make very easy. It just fits right in there. Boom. Done. No muss, no fuss. Now for this next step, we need our last set of lights. So here's our last set, labeled A. We're also going to need the reflector back piece and 3 or 4 CM screws. So now looking at this might be an area where you want to do glue, or it might not be. Like I said, I got mine kind of bent into shape, and they've been sitting there for a couple months now, so they're kind of how I need them or how I want them to be. I find this part is easiest to just kind of get the lights into position first. Again, it's not a bit of rocket science. There is a small groove on each side here. You can try to do that. Some people, like I say, will glue these down. There is another way, and I'll show that way to you right now here. So one way other people will do it is they start off by kind of screwing down an initial part of it, of the piece. Since I got that light in, I'll screw this side down first. And then when they got it started, they'll kind of lift the part here, slide the light in, close it down, and then screw it in. Your mileage may vary on this, but do whatever works best for you. You know, that's the whole thing of model building. Make sure we get these all nice and tight. There you go. Now you can see we got the windows in, and that's that part. Now, the next part we're putting in is right here. And this is obviously pretty simple. So we're going to need this, and we need 4 AP screws, because they're screwing into plastic. And this part's pretty simple compared to all the lighting you just did. This should be a welcome breath of fresh air. You just kind of slot that in. So it goes right in there. And then you're going to put, whoops, it popped out. It's just going to slot into that space. And then you're going to screw it into place. Now that's in. Got the nice little ridge there. Now our next step is going to require us to get this piece back. And we need 3 CP screws. And this part's pretty simple. We're going to connect these 2 pieces together. So you're going to run this through, run the electrics through. You see, wire management is going to be a thing here that you're going to have to deal with. Slot that into place. That one does kind of snap into place. So you're good there. And now we just put the 3 screws in here. Alright, that's done. We're almost finished with stage 1. All that's left to put on are the escape hatch covers. Now there are 6 of them. 3 for the left, 3 for the right. Now you got to make sure you pay attention. Again, if it doesn't fit, it's not going to work, but like typically they are labeled. That has an L on it, and you can see that the peg there is only going to match certain holes. That's why they got them cut that way. So you're just going to kind of. It's also, since there's a design on it, it's also important to note that according to the instructions, this red part points down. So when you get it, it'll slide in right. So when they tell you left, it's basically kind of like stage directions. If the ship were going this way, you're looking left and you're looking right. So when you're looking this way, it's basically the opposite. So you're just going to grab your pieces, match them up. They'll go in very flush. And there you go. Lifeboats are in. Stage 1 is done. They're not going anywhere, but you know, I suppose if you really want to be proactive or you want to be protective and you know you're not going to be taking this apart like I just did to redo this video, you could put a dab of glue right into each of these spots, hold them in place. It's your model. Do what you want with it. Stage 1 is done. Let's move on to stage 2. Okay, so you can see here in stage 2, we're obviously putting together one of the nacelles, part of it anyway. This is the port nacelle. That's just the top half of it. There's a few parts to this. Again, since it's a nice part of the ship, it's metal again, so gonna have a lot of fun stuff to do. Just so you know, I'm not going to use all the technical terms for all these parts, whatever they call them. Like, I know they refer to the Bussard, I don't know how they call them, collectors and all that stuff. I'm just going to show how to put the model together, and, you know, you can look at the instructions yourself and see what they're calling it where you're at. So, obviously, the main part we're going to be working with is this. The first step is we're going to we're putting on this piece. It is very simple to do, but you got to do it the right way. There is a groove. You can see, looking at this, there are grooves. I'm going to try to get a better look. You can see the grooves right here and right here. They are going to go on this. And again, there is only one right way for it to go, and you will be able to tell. You should be able to tell. But according to the instructions, another way to tell is that it should go on to where the flat side of this edge, of these edge pieces, is up, is pointing towards the front of the ship. What will be the front of the ship. So once you got the positioning right, follow your instructions. That just slots right in there. Next, they wanted us to put in this little light here. Formation light. Basically the light for like a plane. Now, you'll notice they have the hole there. It has a flat end and a round end. So you really can't mess this part up. Just take your piece with the flat end, put it in the flat, and it's just going to kind of sit in there. So it's going to sit in there kind of like that. Now you can set that down. And then the next step is we're going to cover this part with this clear plastic piece. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but you can tell, again, direction, because if you look up on top, I don't know if it shows up, but there are a couple of dips. Whoops, I just did that. There's a couple of dimples right up here, and they will match these little dimples up here. So just match it up. It's going to sit in there. Alright, so it's just going to kind of set on there. Now we're going to actually put something down that's going to hold it together. It is this piece. This piece is going to hold all of it together. It's basically the inner framework. You'll notice it has a very distinctive way to go. This part is going to sit against the nacelle, and you're going to have a part sticking up. So just kind of match up the holes here. And this is also going to keep your formation light in place. So now, since we're joining metal to metal, we need a lot of these screws. We need 9 AM screws. Alright, so we got our screws. It's time to screw this in. I'm just going to show you where the screws are going to go in. So you have these holes right here along both sides, and you got one there. That's what you're screwing in now. So I'm going to come back after I get those all screwed in, and we'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now that's in there. They're all tightened up. I did tighten one a little too much. Right there, I tightened a little too much and broke the head of it off, but that's okay because these other 8, that thing ain't moving. Neither is this piece. That piece ain't. Like I said, I broke off the head there, tightening it a little too much. I like to make these nice and tight when they're joining to metal though, so, you know, one's not going to do much. You can see this thing ain't moving. That's in place. So that piece is good. So now our next step is we need this front piece and 3 BM screws, and obviously that's just going to sit right there and get screwed in. Alright, that's in. Everything's all tightened up. So now you see it looking much almost like the nacelles. Now we got these parts. Obviously, you know, the Enterprise D, you know, these are the side engine pieces that glow when the ship is moving. There are some people that do modifications on these at this point. They paint them a copper color because in some episodes when the Enterprise engines are shut down, they actually are not blue. They're clearly a copper color. And there are paints you can use to do that. You can paint these a copper, but they'll still show blue when you shine the light through it. I'll include a little bar up there, and I'll include a link below to one YouTuber I watch. He's been putting this together himself. He does quite a few of these models, and he talks about modifications that he's done on these. Again, the best part is it's your model. Do what you want to do with it. If you feel like doing a modification because you want to do it, go for it. Personally, I don't know if I'm going to or not. I'm probably not going to do any modifications to this one, but you never know. If I do, I'll let you know what I decide. So for this, we need the 2 nacelle pieces and 8 AP screws. So each nacelle is going to get connected with 4 screws, and they're just going to kind of fit in right there. So they just kind of go in a little on the inside of the thing, and they fit right in here. And you're going to screw them down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, just like with the inner structure, I'm not going to just have you sit here watch me screw it in. So I'm going to go screw these in and come back when they're all in. Okay, so now the nacelle sides are on. Starting to look a lot like the Enterprise nacelles. Again, if you decided to do the modification I showed you that I linked to, this I would personally do it before putting these on, because believe me, with this model you don't want to keep taking stuff off and on. It increases the likelihood of breaking something. Last part for this step is we got to put the back part on. So 2 AP screws, and again you'll feel it fit in place, and we'll just screw it in here real quick. And now that piece is on. So now your whole port nacelle half is on and good. Remember, with plastics, when you're doing the screws to plastics, I like to tighten them, but not nearly as much as I do with them when it's joining metal. Like with the metal ones, I'll give it an extra really good turn to make sure it's nice and firm. With the plastic, I just like to kind of give it a tiny nudge after it feels like it's set, just to be on the safe side. Now, you may be wondering, you saw this at the beginning and you probably know where it goes, but what are we doing with that? Well, there's absolutely nothing we can do with that at this point. They give it to you, but you can't really do anything with it because you see it. You can tell though, it's just going to kind of, you're going to kind of slot it into there so that it's kind of, like, I'm going to hold it in there, but it's going to kind of like just sit in there. And I'm thinking that when the other half of this gets in, that's how it's going to be held in place once you get all the electrics and stuff into this and you get the other half on. But because there's nowhere to hold that, There's nowhere to put that right now, and there's no way to keep that in place. I suppose, technically speaking, if we're 100% sure of that, you could glue it down if you really wanted to. Again, your model, do what you want, but I don't know, how much electrics are going to go into this yet, so I'm personally not going to glue anything down. Even though I know with 100% certainty that's where that's going to go, I don't know if there's going to be anything that needs to be fed into it. I'm pretty sure there's not. So I'm pretty sure if you wanted to glue that down just so you had it in place, you're fine doing that. But I personally will not. So with that, stage 2 is now completed. We've got half of the port nacelle done. So tune in for stage 3. So that's all there is for this kit. I mean, it's your introductory package, so you're not going to expect a lot from it, but at least now you got an idea as to what you're in store for. So if you're committed, I'll catch you on the next video where we do stages 3 through 6. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and watching this. I look forward to seeing you again as we put together the next stages of the Enterprise D. Again, make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a minute of this or my great gaming content, and I'll catch you next time.